king of Jordan embarrasses and shames himself and his entire nation in front of the world as he grovels to Donald Trump's Zionist agenda. Donald Trump lays out his ethnic cleansing plan, the one that the king of Jordan apparently opposes. As the king of Jordan looks on like a jackass, Jordan has a very large Palestinian population and a populace that wants to stand with Palestine. The problem is Arab countries are ruled by Zionist sellout leaders like the king of Jordan. Remember, it was the king of Jordan who decided to shoot down Iranian missiles on behalf of the genocidal Israeli regime as it was slaughtering Palestinians and escalating war in the region. The king of Jordan was literally sending aid to Israel as it was continuing their genocidal campaign into Gaza. Now the king of Jordan completely folds on his position of opposing removing Palestinians from Gaza. Now the king of Jordan agrees to accept thousands of Palestinian children, laying the groundwork for Donald Trump's ethnic cleansing plan.
Now is the time to ensure the protection of the Palestinian people. It is the moral duty of this international community to establish a protection mechanism for them across the occupied territories. That includes those who continue to propagate the idea of Jordan as an alternative homeland. So let me be very, very clear. That will never happen. We will never accept the forced displacement of Palestinians, which is a war crime.
One of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
It's so embarrassing and sad watching Arab leaders sell out to Zionism and the West. Remember, out of all the countries who support the genocide charges against Israel, most of them are in the global South, led by South Africa and African countries, Brazil, Nicaragua, Ireland as well. None of them are Arab countries. This is why the fight against Zionism isn't a fight against the Jews. Christian and Muslim Zionists fight for and defend the legitimacy of Israel, and they wouldn't exist without them. Russia defeats NATO as Donald Trump pulls the plug on the Ukraine proxy war while caving to Russian demands. The Trump administration is pursuing peace in Ukraine, even if that means Ukraine making territorial concessions to Russia and Ukraine promising never to join NATO and remain a buffer state. So essentially, Russia is getting everything they wanted ever since the start of this conflict. The United States completely crushes Ukraine's hope of joining NATO, which is ironic because the United States push for Ukraine to join NATO is what got them in the war against Russia in the first place. And Ukraine flag Twitter is not taking it well, throwing a temper tantrum because they no longer can plunge the world into World War III. Imagine how broken you must be to be upset that a war that you cannot possibly win is ending. The majority of Ukrainians want to see a peace deal. Imagine how sick you have to be to want to see a war continue that the people no longer want to fight. And what exactly did Ukraine get out of this war in the first place? Over 1 million dead Ukrainians, no future NATO membership, and no EU security guarantees. The West sacrificed an entire generation of Ukrainian men in order to boost the profits of the military-industrial complex, which seen a record boom in profits during the Ukraine war. The United States and NATO used Ukraine to test new weapons and new battlefield innovations. They turned Ukraine into war guinea pigs. Do you guys see what happens when you trust the United States? Allowing the United States to use you as a pawn for their geopolitical game is a massive society-breaking mistake. I really hope that Taiwan learns from Ukraine's blunder.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, we got a special episode today. You know, I had to bring on my hotspot homie. You know, we got someone else. We got another hotspot presenter who's killing the game. Now I have my hotspot brother Niko House join me today. What's popping, brother?
What's going on, man? Yeah, David has been going brazy. That man
Yeah.
came out with the heat off rip, bro, exposing journalists getting paid by USAID to attack other journalists in Africa. I'm like, God damn, bro. Just like that.
Yeah.
You just go.
I'm very excited about it. I think I'll retweet his video. Here it is. I see the hotspot version of it. Here it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is why there's so many like liberal neocons melting down because these soft power programs are being shut down, being exposed. So this is a great video for our comrade, the National Endowment for Democracy, Trump. It has just defunded. It is known for being a CIA cutout focused on regime change in Latin America and in Asia. So great work by him. It's always great working and having my hotspot brother on. I want to get your thoughts on this because the last week, and we have this upcoming peace conference with between Europe and Russia, and these peace talks has been on the table for a while. We had European leaders discussing this during Biden because they realized Ukraine was losing. I noticed with Trump recent actions, like he invited Russia to join the G8. I see Donald Trump actually trying to pull off the strategy that Vivek Ramaswamy suggested, where he said we need to pull Russia from China, and that's what he's trying to do. I think it's kind of naive. Like Trump thinks he's slick. But they're not as dumb. And I will say that there's a lot that I won't get you in here because there are a lot of things I gotta say because on one end, Trump is not as slick as he think he is, but we are seeing right now just how incompetent the Biden administration has been. Like, you know what I mean? But Niko, I would love to hear your thoughts.
Is it incompetence, right? I don't know. Was it incompetence or was it like deliberate, right? Like, was the chaos deliberate? And was it just because I feel like both it's chaotic, or it has been chaotic in this administration for a lot of reasons, but it was also chaotic in the Biden administration. It's just that it's two different types of chaos, right? I would say that for whatever reason, the chaos in this administration looks a little bit more organized. And like you said, it looks like, I hate to say that Trump has a plan, but maybe he does. And actually, I did a video the other day saying that, and I know this is going to sound insane, but you got to actually like watch the video first before you judge me. If you actually listen to the interview between Marco Rubio and I believe it was Megyn Kelly, Marco Rubio actually sounds like the most sane Secretary of State that we've ever had in history. And that's not really a compliment for Marco Rubio. That just shows you our country has been ran by psychopaths for so long that when a neocon comes out and is like, yeah, man, nah, I'm not trying to have war with China. We need to pursue peace. We're in a multipolar world right now. We need to work together with China and Russia. We need to stay away from war at all costs. And Megyn even tried to set him up by talking about the fact that some journalists and people had suggested that China had basically threatened him on that call. And he's like, I'm not about to buy into that. That's not the message I received. The message I received is that they want to work together. They're going to pursue their interests. We're going to pursue ours, but we're going to do so in a way that's going to be peaceful. And I couldn't believe what the hell I heard, bro. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for the hammer to drop.
Adjustment by the empire, led by the MAGA wing, the Republican wing of the empire. They see the shift already happening in the new multipolar world. So Trump declares that BRICS is dead, and then invites Russia to join the G7. And then he demands and asks Zelensky to sign this form that will give away all the rare earth minerals. So we have a belligerent U.S. empire again, where it's not no more of that liberal bullshit, human rights, soft speech that liberals use to give away with a lot of crimes. It is out in the open, out like we are declaring our intentions with our empire, and it's very refreshing compared to the Anthony Blinken cutthroat style. What are your thoughts?
No, that's true, right? Like so with the USAID, for example, I don't like this misnomer that they're getting rid of it. People keep saying that, especially the MAGA people. I'm like, they're not getting rid of it. They've openly admitted it. They're rolling it into the State Department. I don't know why I keep saying they're getting rid of it. They're just making it official because they've been pretending to be an independent NGO that is merely funded by the federal government for all this time. So, I mean, I guess from a positive perspective, we'll know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, who's behind what coup, et cetera, et cetera. But like, it still exists. And the only thing that we don't know right now, because we're still waiting for that 90-day window to close, is we don't know how they'll use it. That we'll have to wait and see. But like, I want to be clear, Doge didn't expose shit. I don't know why people keep trying to give credit to Doge for exposing shit that we all have been talking about for decades, for years, especially regarding the USAID with Ukraine or the USAID with Africa. Doge didn't expose anything. And they're not rolling it into the State Department because Elon Musk is suggesting it. It's because the USAID has actually been, like we've talked about for a long time, not just USAID, but all these types of programs, they've been counterproductive to the interests of the United States. I don't know, like these wars are costing us money. It's supposed to make us money. Like if you're going to be an empire, then empire correctly, my guy. But we're not doing that. And that's the reality of it. So yeah. Trump, I believe, is because Marco Rubio is the first politician that I've actually heard in DC admit that we are now in a multipolar world. And he also admitted that the United States being the number one superpower to the point where it was unquestionable for like 30 or 40 years was a phenomena that will never happen again. So they're aware, like, yo, if we don't get our shit together, we not gonna make it.
Refocusing. You're seeing the refocus of the empire. That's what they're decision to make you say more effective, because that will a lot of people miss and got wrong about the story. Like your explanation was perfect. When Marco Rubio said, "Yeah, I'm essentially taking that role upon myself." So essentially getting rid of the middleman, because there were a lot of aid workers in USAID who thought they was going to be feeding poor people, and they explained how the State Department and WikiLeaks actually tweeted this out. How the state, one of the aid worker was complaining that the State Department was using USAID as a slush fund, and they were essentially following the directive of the State Department. He was like, "Man, I thought I was giving aid. I thought we supposed to feed poor people." And he like,
and they thought that shit was independent of the federal government. That's how it was pitched, and it's not.
And there've been so many whistleblowers who exposed that throughout the years, and now the United States realized, all right, the secret's out. You know, there's so many countries who banned USAID, and that's another propaganda trick the neoliberal class would use is whenever someone who's resisting the empire catches wind of what USAID is doing, they will expel them from the country. That's what Nicolas Maduro did. And then when Nicolas Maduro did that, you have Bernie Sanders that said, "Oh my God, Nicolas Maduro expelling USAID is the reason why he's a tyrant." That's how they get the dumb progressives. That's how they get the pro-war progressives on their side. Oh, he expelled USAID because he realized it was a front for regime change. Then they use that to attack.
You know how like paternalistic and egotistical, and like that shit. Like, oh, they expelled USAID. Okay, that was his decision. He's the president. Why does that make him a tyrant? Because he's deciding to what? So because it's your country that he's expelling, or a program for your country that he's expelling, that makes him a tyrant. That's nonsensical. Like when you really stop and think about it, it's like, why do you feel entitled to that person's country? Why do you feel entitled to it? Even if they could be doing good stuff. I don't like that's not happening, but if he made that decision, that was his decision to make. That does not make him a tyrant. But that is how we have governed, not we, but the United States has governed in all situations, minus Israel, since I've been born, basically. If you don't accept our help, because they know it's always some type of sleeper cell, some type of, like, they're planning propagandas. They're not spending the aid the way it's supposed to be spent. They're usually using that aid to fund terrorism in a lot of situations, or it's a money laundering scheme. That's generally how they use it, or they use it to fund shadow campaigns where these candidates pop up out of nowhere. Like speaking of Venezuela, we found out that Juan Guaido was a recipient of USAID.
And the USAID was paying people no-show salaries in Venezuela and in African countries to be full-time protesters. I explained this on the show, so I don't want to belabor the point, but I explained how there's a large anti-vax movement in Africa. And there's a lot of people in Africa who don't trust HIV and AIDS medication because you say set up an HIV clinic, which was a fake clinic that was used to install regime change. So now there are a lot of Africans, and this is me just being more morally neutral on this. There are a lot of Africans who don't trust the medical establishment because they connect that with regime change. So isn't that a negative consequence according to the neoliberal brain, right? And now here's Sanders, and I always share this as much as I can for people to know what kind of tool Bernie is. And this is one of the things that when I heard on the campaign, I was like, fuck. Bernie Sanders.
Bro, every time you talk about Venezuela, whenever back in the day, bro, every time I knew, I'm like, God damn, I'm gonna have to get on the show and fucking cuss this man out for the next 3 days because Bernie, he never got Venezuela right. Never.
Yeah, look at this. Let me be clear. Anyone who does what Maduro does is a vicious tyrant. So if you spell USAID, the United States Agency for International Development, resist CIA attempts for regime change, and punish those who side with a hostile foreign country to overthrow your country, you're a vicious tyrant, said Bernie Sanders, who supports long prison sentences for drunk rednecks at January 6th. So isn't that hilarious? The same liberals who want to lock up a 66-year-old redneck grandma for 20 years?
Bro, you know what?
They think Maduro's a tyrant. But go ahead, Niko.
No, I was just going to ask you, have you noticed this pattern lately where motherfuckers just be saying words and like it's like they have no idea what the words mean, or like words just don't have definitions in it? Oh, he's a vicious tyrant. Oh, okay. Like how? Well, he got rid of the USAID. Like, did he like just shoot them all up and then send them back home in coffins? What about that makes him vicious or tyrannical? Because when Maduro makes decisions like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why y'all these motherfuckers just be saying words and people, like, they just use superlatives and no one ever questions it. It's just bizarre to me because I feel like it's becoming more and more common, not just amongst neocons, but like specifically neoliberals. They're doing it to try and exaggerate and hyperbolize every single situation because the facts don't really align with their narratives. So they have to use superlatives in order to hyperbolize whatever point they're trying to make, even though the superlatives don't make fucking sense at all for the situation.
Bernie Sanders was just on, I think it was Brian Taylor Cohen's, one of the shit lib channels, because that's the only media he does. And he was explaining the benefits of using soft power. Like, nigga, you're supposed to be a socialist. Hassan Pikers love Bernie Sanders. The Hassan Piker they love Bernie. Like Hassan had Bernie on his show and gave him a tongue bath interview. But you have Bernie Sanders going on liberal corporate media, praising USAID. And I might do a segment on the clip. I saw it, my jaw dropped to the floor where he said, "Oh, we gotta explain. There's a soft power." But like, did you explain the benefit of U.S. imperialism as a Democratic socialist? And people would
you know what's wild about that? That motherfucker's making the same argument as Trump, dog. That was what is that not what the argument Trump is making for the United States owning Gaza is basically the argument that Bernie is making for the benefits of USAID. Like that's effective, right? Because it's for the benefit of the United States. Just because we're actually going to help the area and we're going to help develop, and it's better to do that than blow everybody up. So you should be happy. Like that's basically what he's like, bro. Trump, these neoliberals and Trump are not different in most ways. That's the fucked up part. Trump actually, the craziest part about this whole situation with Gaza, just to change gears really quick, is the way that he pitched the basically the completion of the ethnic cleansing that Joe Biden started. Joe Biden and Kamala and almost all these neoliberals and Democrats and Zionists were aggressively they were dedicated to the narrative that we got to destroy Hamas. It wasn't even about Palestinians at a certain point. They just pretend like the Palestinians just were collateral damage. Like they're just buildings, basically. Trump actually is trying to sell the idea on completing an ethnic cleansing from a place of empathy, which is actually a genius strategy when you actually think about it. But to me, I'm thinking to myself, like, why didn't the Democrats actually think of that? Like, it's stupid. It's still ethnic cleansing. But like, whereas Joe Biden was justifying destruction, Trump is out here he's basically promising to rebuild and better lives. even though it's not true, it just shows you how far this Overton window has moved, where neocons understand the importance of at least feigning empathy when they're selling their policies, whereas Democrats, they can't feign empathy and their policies are shit. You can't have both.
Yeah, one thing that I found interesting. I was trying to find this tweet. I actually saw a lot of MAGA people that was upset about Trump MAGA Gaza plan. Obviously, there are a lot of bootlickers as well. But what does it say? I saw Sean Strickland. He was a UFC fighter. I had a brutal ratio. I can't find it right now. Well, I called him out because he was like, "Man, I didn't vote for Trump for this." I'm like, well, Trump said openly he's going to serve Israel. He very open about the fact that he wanted to censor Americans. But I made that point to him, but I also had to make another point. Was I like, hey, yo, I call this guy out. But at the same time, can we acknowledge how MAGA is actually criticizing Trump for his policy in Gaza?
Candace, bruh. Candace?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, your video about Candace. Yeah, go ahead, Niko. I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Dog. Okay, so Candace didn't just criticize the policy, because a lot of people, I didn't vote for Trump for this. Okay, cool. Which and it's from a perspective of like America first, et cetera, et cetera. Candace, on the other hand, which is why I have to give her credit, which is also why I'm allowed to criticize her. And I don't give, like, when neoliberals criticize Candace, I don't listen anymore, because y'all just criticizing her from this neoliberal perspective. Yeah, I criticize her because I'm gonna give her credit in a sense that she said, I did not vote for genocide. You are enabling genocide. Then she even speaks from the perspective of her Christian faith, saying, like, I cannot, as a Christian, support a person killing children, blowing babies up, and then taking their land. And then she took it a step further, Nick. And this is a conversation that you and I have had about her, me and Sab, me and JB. We've all had, like, damn, Candace, I wish you would just explain the real effects of imperialism, why you were. And she says, Europe keeps complaining about how, oh, it looks more Muslim now, it looks all Arab. Stop blowing up their fucking homes. Bro, I almost lost my mind. Because that is not something I would expect to hear from Candace. She said, I can't even believe that Trump sat down with BB. Fuck supporting it. She said, I can't believe he even sat down and have a conversation with him. She criticized to it. Like, wow, man, if our people actually held like Bernie's and the AOCs accountable to that degree, we might actually see some fucking change. If they did that with Trump and their people, and we continue to do so, not just us, but like those with bigger platforms did the same, bro, could you imagine how much shit we would be able to get done?
Exactly.
Because like genocide is a controversial, like genocide is genocide. It's not really like a line. Like with Russell Brand, for example, I just follow the facts. I just follow the facts. Russell Brand put out a fucking, I don't even know why he posted this shit to Twitter, bro. I can't believe it. But he literally posted on Twitter, you know, as a Christian, because, you know, he's a Christian now. Everybody during this last campaign for Trump became Christian only to become Zionists, which is basically a whole different thing. I don't know why the hell they became Christian to be Zionists, but that's what Russell Brand did. Feel like that ain't no part like a Diddy party. That's what I feel like is happening over there. That's a different conversation. But he posts a post, bro, and he says, as a Christian, you can look at the Old Testament and see that there's a legitimate claim that Jewish people have to the land. And we just have to, but we really have to ask ourselves, you know, just where's the line at? Where's the line? I said, motherfucker, the line is genocide. What are you talking about? Why did you post this? It's because he's trying to, one, please his crowd, please his Trump audience. Two, he's trying to pretend that he is not supportive of genocide, but he's actually not coming out against it. But three, it's because he's a Zionist, effectively. I mean, he may not come out and say it directly, but he is afraid that he and his platform could be hurt if he does not toe the Zionist line. But he's not a leftist, but I would at one point have at least considered him an independent thinker. And it's obvious that all of a sudden, all those facts that he followed, once he realized those facts were going to lead him to calling out genocide, now it's we don't know where the line's at. We have to think about that. Like, no, motherfucker, there's nothing to think about. It's playing stupid.
Yeah, and a lot of things I can add from that. There was a great video I saw where you was playing Candace calling Trump out for this. And the only thing I wish for Candace, I still got a lot of support for Candace. She does do great work calling out Israel. I just wish she had the same empathy for the Black community that she has Palestinians. Because there's still a few things that if we ever had a chance to talk, I'll have a few bones to pick with her. Because no matter her criticism of George Floyd and his alleged drug use, we are supposed to oppose the state executing people. Candace Owens made her following justifying the police state execution of Black men. So yes, I am glad she's calling out the executions that Israel commit on Palestinians, but where's the empathy for your own people?
Yep. I thought she getting closer and closer. It's not that she broke away from Prager, because like that's who brought her on, right? I think she getting closer and closer. And I keep trying to, bro. I try to give her leeway only because I heard that crazy story that she told on Joe Rogan, and I realized that woman is traumatized. Like she needs to see a therapist. Like the story about her, these white boys at her school. One of them was like a state representative's son, who like left her a racial voice message basically. And she got shit for it, and they like the school was shitting on her about it. Then whenever it's time to hold that kid accountable, at first they weren't allowing it to happen, and because of who he was. And then he was finally held accountable, but then the whole school, because it was mostly white, jumped on top of her and blamed her. And her response to that was during that interview, she was like, why would they destroy that little kid's life? He didn't know what he was doing. Like she had been so traumatized by what had like her experience as a kid that you could tell it's affected her growing up. And now but now she's had kids, because she always talks about her kids when it comes to the issue of Palestine. It's just like she just had her first child recently. And she says like, now I'm like looking at my kid and like my kid's brown. And I'm thinking to myself, well, would anybody give a fuck if my kid was getting blown up like what's happening in Gaza? And all of a sudden it's starting to click for her. Like, hold up. Maybe I've been kind of wrong about a lot of this shit. Even the fact that she was willing to admit that there's nobody trying to, like, no ethnicity or religion is trying to conquer any Western white dominated nation. They're running from being bombed to death. That is it. For her to actually acknowledge that is a big deal, because that's something she would have never admitted before. So I feel like she's getting closer and closer. And the further she gets away from the Ben Shapiro's of the world, the further she gets away from the Charlie Kirks and the Pragers, like I feel like she'll allow herself, because before her income didn't allow her to, she'll start to allow herself to see the reality of what it is to be a Black person in America. And she won't start researching and then stop the moment it becomes inconvenient for her narrative. Because now she's becoming more independent in that regard, and she'll be allowed to tell the truth, hopefully. And so I'm hoping, I'm holding out hope. It's naive hope, I know, but there's
nothing wrong with hoping for the better for people. There's nothing wrong with that, for hoping that someone has a face turn, as I like to call it.
Yeah, because it happens.
Because Candace married a rich white dude, so now she's fucking rich. So she able to say what she able to say. Good for her, man. Because when she first started off, she was unserious. If you just discovered you like her now, that's fine. But she was unserious. Now that she married a rich white dude, she got a little more freedom, and that's why and it's not unreasonable to hope that she gets better. But she had a lot of smoke for her own people, and like, for example, these people like this, I can respond to this criticism where the person says, Candace is telling you to get your shit together. Nothing wrong with that. I tell my community to get my shit together all the time.
Yeah, we do.
How many times have I called out Black neoliberalism in our community? How many times I tell people to get activated? I call out these Black sellouts. I do that, fam. You know what else I also do? I advocate for healthcare for my own people, because we have record medical debt. Where the fuck is Candace Owens advocating for healthcare for Black Americans?
We also don't have to lie.
40% of the homelessness population. Where the fuck is Candace Owens advocating for housing for us? She's not.
We don't have to lie to hold our community accountable.
It is that simple.
We don't have to lie to hold our community accountable. Like that's the difference. Like I'm not, and it's like, who are you? And it's also like the inherent subliminal comparisons of like Black people compared to, like, look at who still managed to be successful despite their hardships, but black people didn't. But you would never see this problem in this. Like, that's not true. Also, like, you're leaving out a lot of facts. Like, and there's like a bunch of holes in her argument, or at least the arguments that she's made, trying to basically blame black people for every single systemic problem that they're experiencing. I can't say the information is all out there anymore because they're deleting shit everywhere. But there's enough information out there for her to do the research and figure out exactly where the problem started. For example, for those of you who don't know, redlining is a Jim Crow law. Okay, it was FDR who fucking passed the shit. Yeah, people don't know that shit. The number one way to accrue wealth in America has always been through ownership of a home. Because what happens is you can take out a second mortgage if you want to start a business, right? You can pass down your home to your family and they can choose how they want to invest in that property. Or you can sell it to somebody or sell it to the government and you can invest that. Like there's a huge number of ways that home ownership is the number one way to accrue wealth in America, which is why they deliberately kept black people out of shit, right? So that's what redlining is. Redlining was officially ended in 1968. Do you know when the last case of redlining was tried and prosecuted? 2024. That is a Jim Crow law from FDR, and the last fucking case was prosecuted in 2024 after the lawsuit was started in 2023. There's still in other words, even after Jim Crow laws were outlawed, they're still happening. And if you're not going to tell that part of the story, then it's not that you don't give a fuck about black people. You just keep telling, get your shit together, motherfucker, we trying.
Yeah, where's Candace Owens talking about that? Well, Candace Owens sided with the police state. And I heard the arguments. I hear they're George Floyd used some drugs. Who gives a fuck? She was cheering on the police state executing a black worker. A black proletarian. That is not pro-black. That is not simply you telling us to get our shit together. That is you rooting for the class enemy. You
can't say make the government smaller and then cheer for the government.
The police is a tool of the ruling class. So if you're siding with the police when they're executing people, making excuses for them, that is not you being class loyal. So that's why I saw the comments for people saying it's about class. My criticism of Candace is that she chose her class loyalties and it's not with the working class. That's why she promote the culture war. When you have money, you rich, you promote the culture war so the workers start fighting among each other.
And if it's about class solidarity, then do we not have a responsibility to talk about who gets left out of policies that benefit the working class? Is that because for example, once again, black banks, the fact that they even existed prior to the early 1900s is a miracle because we were actually shut out of it. Right. But then, of course, the New Deal comes and there are a lot of working class policies that are passed. But like Sabby talked about on her show the other day when she was I think she was reviewing the interview between Bree and some other dudes from Our Revolution. Black people were left out of the majority of the New Deal. OK, so if it's about class solidarity and it's about the class unity, do we not have a responsibility to talk about who the fuck gets left out? Is that not part of it? Because if there was a certain group of people that were left out, I'm just saying, a certain starts with a Z, ends with a Zionist. If they were left out of a class, of a working class movement, working class policies, that would be a huge deal. Or the fact that they have never been left out, and yet there is somehow a comparison to what Zionists or Jewish people have gone through historically, and black people over the last 100 years, forgetting that. Outside of that random situation in Germany, which Zionists specifically didn't actually have to deal with, it was the rest of the Jewish community. So that's a whole different conversation. But outside of that one period, the federal government, especially in the United States, has never made policies and said, we are leaving Jewish people out of them. Never. Not a single time. Until you can say that about your community, you cannot compare yourself to what black people have gone through. We don't even got to go back to slavery. I don't know why. I say this shit all the time. We don't have to go that far back. My mom was born in 1969. The last Jim Crow era law was banned in 1968. My mom's 55 years old, bro. 55 years old. That's insanity. Why are y'all comparing yourselves to us? We can say our community has problems that we have to fix, but they're not it's like a non-unique situation. In other words, we have problems that are intrinsic to our culture, like every community has problems intrinsic to their culture. The difference is that we can address those while still admitting how we have been systemically targeted and disadvantaged. Not because, and we're not failing and haven't failed because we weren't successful, bro. We were so motherfucking successful that they literally created a bunch of fake race wars in all of the Black Wall Streets in the country. And like, bro, this happened like in a 3 or 4 year period. It was Chicago, Florida, Wilmington, North Carolina, obviously Tulsa, Oklahoma. This shit happened in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they only attack business districts. We were so successful. We finessed our way in the system during segregation that the federal government had to conspire against us because they were like, yeah, no, we can't let that shit happen. We keep letting them grow at this rate, they're going to outpace the federal government because we were.
The fact that we even got out of the Black Codes, the fact that we even got out of the Black Codes era, the late 1800s, you guys, I'm super into history. Like the fact that we even got out of that is a miracle, and it shows the
ingenuity, the innovation, the dedication. Like you
man.
Calling Black people lazy is wild, bro. Because it's one thing that Black people do, bro, is if anything, we work too damn much, and then we expect that from ourselves. We'll get depressed if we take a day off. Like shit. You from the South, you already know. But like, I'm from New York. That's how it is in New York. It's hustle culture, and people think that's just new. But for Black people, that's been life.
Yep. Well, very well. I want you to react to this because you had a great video to this, and you guys know what's this guy's name? I see him around all the time. What's this guy's name? The guy
Patrick fucking David.
Patrick David.
Iranian who got hair plugs.
No, go ahead, Niko.
No, I was just saying he's an Iranian that got hair plugs and ran a Ponzi scheme, like a. Yeah, like, and then he started feeling himself, bro. He got the hair plug.
Yeah, he's the Iranian Zionist dude. He's the Iranian. He like the Iranian diaspora in the West. This diaspora. He called himself Iranian diaspora. He talks about because he's one of those people who actually doesn't know anything about Iran. But the moment that it's time to criticize Iran, now he's an expert, even though he doesn't know anything about it. He's like one of those guys. So yeah, he's a hardcore Israel supporter. I mean, I saw he went on this unhinged. I didn't.
He wasn't, which is weird. He actually was not a hardcore Israel supporter. That's what's crazy. He got the call. You know, they be getting that call.
Money, that happens.
Yeah.
And you notice that all these people who are Zionist, right wing, capitalist types. Once again, I told you just with Candace Owens, it's a very important for them to push the culture war. Like they can't allow their audience to realize they have more in common with the people they attack. Like that's a very, and I'm talking about more like right wing media. I dissect liberal media all the time, but that if you're in right wing media, it's extremely important. If you're gonna keep poor people like talking and listening to you when you're a rich capitalist, how do you do that? You gotta convince them that the other workers are your enemies, and you as the rich capitalist have their best interests at heart. So that's why they push the culture war, my friends. But go ahead, Niko. I know you have a.
No, I was going to agree with you. I'm saying you can make the argument that actually that is the majority of the top, the highest earning, highest viewed liberals and the highest viewed neocons. They both push culture war because the moment we start talking about, workers' rights. And people start seeing like, damn, bro, I didn't know you was getting screwed over like that too. Bro, you too? Shit, dog, let's get to the bar real quick and talk about it. And then you realize, damn, bro, I didn't even know because I know somebody that literally had never met a Black person in their life. And they met my brother and when they were in basic training together, bro, changed his entire view of everything he's ever known about the world. And in fact, he started judging his own people. He's like, motherfucker, every stereotype that you apply to these motherfuckers be working their ass off and they don't even get credit for it. Because he used an example where he got credit for doing something that one of his Black colleagues actually did. And even though he told his petty officer it was actually this dude, his petty officer got mad at him for correcting him. So like he got to see shit in real time. And that's when you start to kind of put two and two together. Like, damn, bro. Like, not only do we have more in common than I thought, but also my perception of what I thought was happening is completely off. And I feel like that's been on purpose.
Absolutely. And it's because people like Patrick David, whatever. And you guys see, I don't know that much about them because I avoid, like, you guys, I don't even cover the culture warriors that much because they're largely, they do numbers. They do great, but they're largely irrelevant to our overall class struggle. But it's important to analyze how they look, and that's my first thought when I saw this video, Niko. I'm about to play the video. I'm sorry going on another tangent.
No,
my first
go ahead.
thought when I saw the video was, of course he's doing this. He said, "Oh, Jews don't see themselves as victims of black people do." You got to see, of course, you got to see it always about pitting races against each other. You know what I mean? My whole thing is about us coming together as people with different cultures to overthrow our common enemy, the Zionist-controlled ruling class. Meanwhile, what they want to do, oh my God, black people see people as a victim. Jews are the victims. I piss off a lot of white people on Twitter, but my message is poor white people. Why the fuck? What do you got against me and my politics? You should be down with what the fuck we talking about. We got the same enemy. But anyway, I'll shut up.
You're right.
Let's play the video. Always fun having you on. Anything else you want to add before I play the clip?
Oh, nah, bro. You're right, dog. I mean,
let's play it. And you can react first. This is the first time I've seen it, guys. So I've been preparing myself for this cringe. I didn't know you covered it in the hotspot video. So,
bro, you about to.
Jesus. This is gonna be
prepare yourself.
Why after such a dramatic event that happened to Jews, okay, with the intentions of wanting to eliminate every single Jew on the face of the planet, right? This is what Hitler's vision was, right? Why is it years later, after a crisis?
I'm sorry to interrupt it so soon, but you know, why do they always bring up the Jews? Like Hitler obviously did some fucked up thing to Jews, but he hate everybody. Like you guys see, he's the only victim.
Also, just to add to that, it is a historic fact. Zionists were exempt from that. They were literally exempt. The Zionist Jewish Party was the only Jewish party that was allowed to exist in Nazi Germany. And they were openly and actively negotiating with Hitler so that they could be exempt from the Holocaust that was taking place. So just want to let everybody know that. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, well, so let's see how much I can get to it. I've never seen it before until now. This is a live viewing, so this is tough.
Why after such a dramatic event that happened to Jews, okay, with the intentions of wanting to eliminate every single Jew on the face of the planet, right? This is what Hitler's vision was, right? Why is it years later, after a crisis like that, what values and principles helped Jews pretty much own Hollywood, do well in business, do well in life?
So you just admitted it?
Yep. I now it's not anti-Semitic to say that. I guess if we were to say that, it's anti-Semitic. Like, but I guess he's there to fulfill a role. So
bro, Gal Gadot is the best example of Jews running Hollywood because that girl can't act to save her goddamn life. The fact that she
has felt that way. I don't know why she keeps getting fired. She fine, but she's like a demon, so it kind of kills it. Bro. And her acting is so bad, bro. It's so bad. God, I thought I was the only one who felt that way. I'm like,
bro, she is such a bad actress. She is such a bad actress. DC had to change the accent of Amazonians, which Wonder Woman is, to an Israeli accent, and then other actresses had to accommodate Gal Gadot. So there was non-Israeli actresses that was doing the Israeli accent because Gal Gadot couldn't do anything else.
Even though Wonder Woman's whole thing is being like super, like when she moved to America and then like she kind of like embodied like American values, whatever. Like that was her whole thing. But everybody had to, like usual, had to adapt to what Israelis wanted, right? Because of their own. Go ahead, let's finish that shit.
All I'm saying is, look at the percentage of megastar Zionist Jewish superstars compared to the percentage of the population. And then I saw Gal Gadot, and then that's when I was like, they might be onto something about this. I'm gonna stop here for you to get mad. But I just people get in trouble for noticing things. That's something I noticed. But anyway, that's
the best Israeli actor I could find. Like that was the best one I could get for real. Like that's not a good look, guy.
It would make sense to me if they hired Gal Gadot and then she never got a job again. But the fact they hired her and they keep hiring her over and over again, despite these horrible lines, like bro, I went down a rabbit hole. I hope you two don't get us in trouble for this. Let me show you guys something here.
I went down a Gal Gadot rabbit hole.
Bad delivery. There you go. She's such a bad actress.
Boy, that boy feels like way about this. I did not know you had
compilation. I'll show you. I think I might get in trouble for this. There's like whole compilations for bad acting. But anyway, I think I can't show that actually. But anyway, let's watch this. Let's continue this. Essentially, he says the quiet part out loud. I know I might be fucking going too far here, but he says what I said she said here.
Is it years later, after a crisis like that, what values and principles helped Jews pretty much own Hollywood, do well in business, do well in life.
Oh, I'll tell you, I have the answer
Go
for
for
you.
it, yeah.
They didn't see themselves as victims. It is the most paralyzing thing in black life, what the left is doing to blacks. The left hates you, blacks. No, they don't hate you. They have contempt for you. Telling you you're a victim is paralyzing. Jews did not walk around thinking they're victims even after the Holocaust.
Why not?
Because they knew it is completely self-destructive.
How did they know?
I don't know. It's a great, well, maybe because of the Jewish tradition has always been, we take responsibility for our own suffering.
So why wouldn't the media try to target the Jews to make them feel victims? How come they didn't succeed with Jews?
The media doesn't have contempt for Jews. It has contempt
Why
for
not,
blacks.
though? Why not?
Why not?
Because the
Why
left
not?
has
Why
contempt
not?
for blacks.
That's the only goddamn question you
Because
asked
they
that makes
use them.
sense.
They don't
Why
use-
not? Why not, Dennis? Why don't the media have contempt for Jews, Dennis? Why do they have contempt for black people but not for Jewish people, Dennis?
Dude, that's literally
Oh my
insane.
God.
Dude, what other minority group do you
No,
know?
you gotta let him finish. Let him finish.
I'll let
him
finish.
finish.
I'll
It
let
gets
finish.
better.
Okay. I got
It
you. I
gets
got you.
better.
I got you.
Victims. How come they didn't succeed with Jews?
The media doesn't have contempt for Jews. It has contempt
Why
for
not,
blacks.
though? Why not?
Because the left has contempt for blacks. Because they use them. They don't use Jews.
Why? Why can't they use Jews? If they can use any sect, they would do it. So why can't they use Jews?
Well, Jews are disproportionately on the left. I mean, there's no way around it. So in effect, there's no need to keep.
They already
Jews
have them, in a
yeah,
sense.
in a sense, yes.
I got you.
The fuck does that even mean, Nick? What is that? What response was that? He's like, how did you manage to insult black people? Create a whole lot. Like we didn't even after the Holocaust, we didn't play victim. We just literally convinced the world to give us someone else's fucking country. But like that's not playing victim. We did it because we're like, we gotta hide. We gotta have our own country to not get attacked again. And it's like, okay, so like, what about all the actual? Because the majority of the people who moved to Israel were not actually victims of the Holocaust. Like that's a whole different thing. But like also, y'all have been trying to do this, and then y'all finally got the opportunity to convince world leaders to give you Israel. Give you Palestine, because y'all even Zionists call it Palestine since the early 1900s or late 1800s. Because y'all used the Holocaust that the Zionists knew was going to happen, didn't help to prevent. Bankers knew that were also Jewish, didn't help prevent. And then y'all stole someone else's country and was like, but we need it because we're the victim. What's that phrase they always say, Nick? Oh, if the rest of the Arab world puts down their arms, then there'll be peace. But if Israel puts down their arms, then Israel will cease to exist. What the like we don't know, because you say it all the time. You talked about it today, bro. The majority of the Arab world kisses Israel's dick because they are forced to because of the United States. Like they got a whole working relationship. I don't know where this idea that like the entire Arab world hates Israel. That's just not true. There's no evidence of that.
There's so many. I was suffering watching this video.
Yeah,
and I would love to have a conversation with these people because I will dismantle them easily. So, for example, you see a lot of white supremacists or race loyal, whatever you want to call them. They will say that black people have a victim mentality. How is it a victim mentality when you organize to solve the problems within your community? Did the Black Panthers have a victim mentality?
right.
Was the people who saw a violent police state that which no other populace in the world would tolerate? Like, look on Reddit and see how they respond to police violence. They can't believe it. Chinese people can't believe we let our police do to our citizens what we do. Russians see what American police do. They're like, nigga, we would have a revolution the next day if we have police officers killing us the way that we do in America. So what black people do, we see the state executing our people, and we say that is violent authoritarianism. We're going to fight back and end this corruption. Is that a victim mentality?
Yeah,
no, that is someone who's actually who, as I described before, an alpha male, someone who fights back, someone who will challenge power. What does it say about these white supremacist bootlicking establishment cucks that they see people fighting against the government and they're like, oh, they got victim mentality? What are we supposed to do? Die quietly? Isn't that more pathetic? Isn't that more pathetic for us to be like, oh man, we have this police state we can't stop. We have white capitalism that crushing us. Oh, but we can't do anything about it. Isn't that
happen? or how he's insinuating that Black people, at least in the United States, have never achieved the level of success as a Jewish community, which is it's false. Like we have the history. I just explained. Y'all know that there have been a lot of banks, right? So the Freedmen Bank, for example, was the first Black bank, and it was extremely successful until a hostile takeover by white people. Then it went under. Like literally the board became all white and then it failed because the bank didn't bail them out, or excuse me, the government didn't bail them out. But what has always been the most interesting to me is the Greenwood from Tulsa. The Greenwood, it wasn't called Greenwood Bank, but that was where it was at, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Greenwood from Black Wall Street. The Black Wall Street that everybody's now familiar with. Do you know what's the most insane part about that story? It isn't even the fact that the National fucking Guard was called in to kill these motherfucking Black people, and no white people were killed by the National Guard after a race riot that was started because of a lie. A race riot. I always say that's a fucking lie. It had to do with race, but it wasn't about race, right? People don't know the name of the bank. I'm gonna repeat that. In the wealthiest Black community, not in the city, not in the state, not in the world at the time, the wealthiest Black community in the world, and no one knows the name of the bank that resided there. Y'all don't find that a little bit weird? You can't find it. They'll just say the bank that was there. The bank they'll say the bank was destroyed. That's all they say. They won't even because if you know the bank, you can look up records. You can see how much money they own. You can see it because what was happening simultaneously, which no one actually even put two and two. They still haven't put two and two together. The national budget was being established at the same time. Black Wall Streets all around the world, or excuse me, all around the country, were achieving enormous levels of wealth and success through making smart and non-risky investments. So what was happening is that we remember, because it still happens, the United States they fund counter-revolutionary movements all around the world. And they fake money. They just make fucking money up. They just we got $1 billion. Black people, Black banks did not have to do that. They were literally competing. They were neck and neck with the national budget, ladies and gentlemen. Black money, the totality of Black money was neck and neck with the United States national budget, because we know that the United States likes to overspend, right? So what happens when your interest rates because the Fed hadn't been established yet. So what happens when your interest rates ain't really making sense whenever Black people are like, well, we're paying like 1%, 2% because of our smart investments within our banks. And you're JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, whatever the fuck going on, and the federal government is trying to set high interest rates, and people start questioning why y'all doing that whenever Black people are doing this. How can you get redlining done, Nick, if you got banks like the one that was in Greenwood, the one that was in Chicago, the one that was in Wilmington, the ones that were in Durham? How can you redline successfully if I could just go to my fucking Black bank with Black wealth and get my business loan, get my home loan? We were so fucking successful, whereas the government, in your case, has to keep giving you fucking money. You still sucking the same tit because of some shit that happened in 1940. We were so successful, the government had to literally conspire against us for us to begin to fail. Y'all had to flood our communities with drugs after that. Y'all had to stop us from being able to. No, we can't even sabotage their business. We can't even let them own the shit. We have to literally stop them from being able to own a business, because even if we let them get their foot in the door, they somehow manage to find success after the slavery, after the Jim Crow, after we fuck their banks over, after the Great Depression, after we send them to war and don't send them back with shit. After all of that, they still keep finding success. We're just going to not let them own shit. And then fast forward, you get the private prison system where we're getting tried, we're getting pulled over, we're getting literally killed, and everything is, and for somehow, despite the fact that the majority, like just pure numbers wise, the majority of crimes are committed by white people, somehow Black people are disproportionately occupying those same prisons. Just like a weird coincidence, right? Don't fucking compare yourselves to us, because until the federal government has to conspire against 13 fucking % of a population that you make up to stop you from being successful, you are not comparable to us. That's it. That's the facts. We had success. We were successful. We were so fucking successful that the federal government had to stop us. Can you say that? I don't think so.
I think that was one of the great rants in RB in history. I I was like, wait, just let this man cook.
Bro, that's just making me so goddamn hot, dog. But I hate it. It's the narrative.
You guys gotta lead life for that, man. That was. I can tell you the story. My mom was she started as a maid at the Innkeeper. Was a motel in Fayetteville, North Carolina. She went from that without a college degree to being a manager at Best Buy, and she had the #1 store in the country. She was so good at what she did. She got to go to California every single year and teach other people how to do her job because she was so motherfucking good at it. And when she was on vacation, someone robbed the store blind because if Serena wasn't there, then no one was paying attention. And do you know what they did? They fired everybody in the store. They didn't fire her though, because she was on vacation, but more specifically because we realized, fuck, we can't actually run the store without her. So what they did was demote her. Gave some white dude who never did shit her job, her salary, took her salary away and said, well, if you would have maybe planned a little bit further ahead and maybe this, and you would have been able to fucking foresee the future, maybe this could have been prevented. Like some shit so basically everything my mom had worked for up to that point was taken away from her because she decided to take a week-long vacation. Damn.
And if she was a white dude in the same situation, there's no way that would happen. Because the white dude's gonna raise hell about that shit. And he's probably gonna win. But my mom she already knew. She's like, I know why they're doing this, and I know they're gonna be able to get away with it. And it had nothing to, she was so good. She got demoted because she was so good at her job. Because they couldn't fire her. Like, think about how fucked up that is. Like, yeah, she's so damn good. We can't even get rid of her, dog. Now, fortunately, later on, way down life, like the GMs, or excuse me, the regional managers actually picked her off from Best Buy as a store, and they put her as a president, as a regional president, like something like that, where basically she teaches people how to do her job still for another company, and they gave her the respect she deserved. So thankfully, that ended up happening later on. But like, that was such a hard time for us because, one, because of what happened, but two, because me and my brother were trying to process what the fuck was going on. We're like, hold up, but how are you getting demoted? You were on vacation. This had nothing to do with you. Somebody let $200,000 worth of merchandise walk out the door and you were not there. And it seemed like they planned it for my mom to not be there because they knew that Serena was going to catch it. And she got punished, but she also was kept around because they can't do shit without her. That is the life of being a black person in America. The better you are at what you do, the more likely you are to be taken advantage of.
Patrick Davis thinks says she thinks she's a victim. He probably thinks she's a victim. Like, this is the shit that doesn't make sense about what Patrick Davis said, because he said black people see themselves as a victim. That's an example of a hardworking woman who was screwed by the system. And what black people would do in response to that is to fight the system.
Mm-hmm.
That's the correct action. What is he implying we should do in this situation? And for example, and I'm gonna say something. Feel free to push back. I'm working through this live right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm working through this thought live. I would say Patrick Davis and analysis is correct for black liberals. Now again, working this out live. Feel free to push back on me, guys, because they kind of do see themselves as powerless victims who can't do anything else but vote. Meanwhile, what I call for is black self-determination. I piss white people off all the time because I don't even believe in integration anymore. If you want to fuck with us, that's great. But I think we should be doing our own goddamn thing. After seeing how violent this country is operating against us, we shouldn't be begging them for jobs. That's why, like, the DEI shit is not our battle. We should be fighting.
Yeah, that's true.
The exploitation of black labor. And Niko, I would love you.
Exactly. That is the exploitation of black labor, which, by the way, it's not even like we're the ones who primarily benefit from DEI. So there's that. But like, you're right. There's an exploitation of black labor that goes under discussed, and DEI is an inherent part of that. Because when you can say that we only hired you because you're black, even though that might not even be true, right? You might be more qualified than everybody else they hired. But when they can say that, they can also justify paying you less. They can also justify giving you that part-time job or that part-time position, or not give you those 40 hours so you get less vacation time. They can bring you in to get more money from the federal government while simultaneously saving money by fucking you over and using your labor. Like, we need, and it's not controversial to say that your community should take care of itself. That's actually the norm. And Jewish people have no problem with doing that. Or excuse me, they don't have a problem with doing that until it comes to Black Jewish people. Then they exclude them. They don't want to talk about that part, right? They don't ever like talking about that part out loud, right? Because they talk about they just see themselves as the victim. That's crazy. So so those Black Ethiopians that ended up in Israel and got sterilized, they're pretending like they were victims of being sterilized. that didn't happen, right? So Fred Hampton, he pretended to get his house raided in the middle of the night, get shot the fuck up, and then nobody basically do anything about it. So Martin Luther King pretended to get spied on by the federal government, pretended to be assassinated by the federal government, and then subsequently pretended that it was a conspiracy. Because we all found out it was, right? That's so Malcolm X, it was that all these motherfuckers. So the Black Panther Party is pretending to be listed as a terrorist organization and treated as such. And the KKK still is not listed as a terrorist organization, which is kind of weird, right? So they're just pretending to be targeted by the federal government. Do you understand how fucking ridiculous you sound? I call it moronitarianism. Moronitarianism. Yeah, moronitarianism, because it's like a political ideology to be stupid with these people. And at this point, I don't know if sometimes it's on purpose, but other times I'm like, I think that sometimes we vastly underestimate just how fucking stupid these people are. Yeah, I really believe that because you hear how he said that. He's like, so like, why don't Jewish people why don't the media have contempt for Jewish people? But you like they have contempt for Black people? Yep. Mm-hmm. It's because they're leftists. All of the Zionist media pushing genocide, they're leftists, and that's why they have contempt for Black people that they don't have for Jewish people. Right? That was your explanation? I don't know. And Pat, you could tell he stopped pushing. That's what caught because I'm like, hold on. So how is he going to respond to that? Because you just kind of snitched on yourself, didn't you? He's like, why don't the media have? Oh, it's because all y'all run that bitch. Oh, why did all y'all get to run it? I'm confused because you don't think that's kind of weird that y'all are a minority population that is running the most important institutions in the world and no one's questioning it, right? Y'all a minority population that somehow has the largest lobbying group in the world, like where we give y'all a bunch of money and then y'all spend that money on us to continue to give y'all a bunch of money. That's kind of weird, right? Like the fact that everything is working for y'all. Not for like we don't got our shit. If Black people had our own, because like I don't count Diddy wasn't working for us, right? It wasn't like Diddy was out here blackmailing white people so that Black people get their own. That would be great. That would have been great, but that's not what was happening, right? He was working for them. We don't got our own Epstein. He was working for them. That's what the judge said. He said, "Hey, it's above my pay grade." He said, "I couldn't prosecute him like that, dog. Sorry." So like, are we gonna talk about it? Are we gonna talk about it? I don't want to get in trouble by YouTube. I don't want to get you in trouble, but I'm just saying, like, don't compare yourselves to us, bro. It's not the same. We believe in fighting back, and y'all believe in fighting back. But when y'all fight back, it's because you're brave. But when we fight back, it's because we're victims. How the fuck does that make sense?
Yep. It's the inconsistencies of these bourgeois class people, right? They and this is the point I always make the right wingers when they act horrified that I support Hamas, because you guys are the ones who have the "don't tread on me" ideology. Right? I tell you guys personally, I believe in gun ownership for the proletariat as a Marxist. I personally don't even really like guns. Like, I'm a martial artist. I explained many times before.
I love them, but I don't need them.
I'm not even a big gun culture guy. I just believe the theory that the working class should be disarmed. I'm more of a hand-to-hand kind of guy. But you guys are the ones who say, "Don't tread on me. We stand up against government tyranny." But if you apply it to anyone else who is not white, then they're a terrorist.
Or anybody who's actually going against the government. Whenever I see, so somebody's like, "Look at how these protesters attacked these police officers." I'm like, God damn it, good shit. That's what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. Because 9 times out of 10, those police officers that are there to stop you from exercising whatever constitutional right you are there to exercise. That is a fucking fact. That is unless they're there to protect you, and that's because you're just You're touting whatever CIA narrative. You're there to protest for whatever CIA narrative is out there at the time, like with the Cuba Libre nonsense. Whenever I was in Miami on Calle Ocho, and the police were escorting protesters and protecting. That's not a protest then. But the mere fact that, for example, I explained to my wife the other day, I was like, yeah, you actually can't protest in the United States unless you get a permit. And she's like, what? I said, yeah, you can't protest unless you get a permit. You can actually get arrested for that. She said, no, that doesn't make any sense. I don't think that like you're translating it right. I'm like, no, I know what I'm saying. Protest, yeah. She's like whenever you gather to protest something like politically, yeah. She's like, well, why would you ask for permission? I said, exactly. But hold on, I thought that y'all had like your constitution said that y'all can protest. Yeah, it does. So why would you ask permission? Exactly. She's like, I don't get it. I said, exactly. Exactly. That's the fucking problem.
That's the point. That's the point.
The whole point. When I explain her this shit about the United States, she's like, I can't believe that. Like, she's like, why do people accept this? I'm like, I can't. That is a whole different conversation. It's too much. I got to give it to her spoonfuls because it's so much to explain, right? Like, black people are 13% of the population, right? Here, they're the majority of the population, but they're so spread out, and they have their own issues in their own cities, in their own states, because it's the culture is so different in every area that it's mostly it is truly mostly class here, even though racism exists. There, it is a class issue, but the bourgeoisie blacks, the limousine liberals, they have such a disproportionate influence over the black community in some ways. Like, for example, I'm gonna bring this fucking topic up. Like, when we talk about a victim mentality, Kendrick Lamar. I'm still waiting. I'm still like, you gonna defend my guy? You gonna defend my protester that just held up a fucking flag? All he did was hold up a flag. Sudan and Gaza. Now he is banned from all NFL stadiums, not just NFL games. And his job actually would require him to be at these stadiums at times because he's a fashion designer, amongst other things. He works in the entertainment industry. He could possibly that could hurt his livelihood. Kendrick, with all this influence and this huge platform you got, you're not gonna say nothing? This man Chance the Rapper got on NBA with Shaq and Charles and all them, and it was like, yeah, man, shout out to Palestine, shout out to Sudan. You know, we got to talk about what's happening out there. Took no time, got no negative feedback, no negative pushback. Nobody's worshiping as a hero, but people are happy that he's bringing attention to it. And he didn't have to be at the fucking Super Bowl halftime show to say something. But the problem is, like you said, we got these black liberals who do have a victim mentality, because Kendrick will talk all the time about how we are victimized. But why aren't you bringing attention to the mutual aid efforts out there? Because I know you know. I know you know, right? It's like what Drake, people want to talk shit about. He called Drake the colonizer, but Drake signed on to the open letter from celebrities for a ceasefire in Gaza. But you want to call Drake the colonizer for being half white? So what does that say about you? If he's a colonizer, what the fuck does that say about you? What? Because last time I checked, Fred Hampton's, Martin Luther King's, Malcolm X's, they don't get asked to speak at halftime shows for Super Bowl in front of Donald Trump of all people. So where you at? I'm trying to figure it out. If we don't hold our community accountable when it comes to stuff like that, then we cannot expect other people to hear us when we cry out. And that shit, people say, well, how many people care about da-da-da-da? I mean, there are actually, historically, if you look at like the Black Panthers, for example, once again, there actually have been people that have worked with and for our community and they got blackballed for it. That has happened. But fuck that. It's about consistency.
Yeah,
Isn't it wrong? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I had a rant I didn't plan at the beginning of my last show, because Black Twitter and Facebook and all these people were annoying shit out of me when they said the revolutionary halftime show. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, bro! Like the Black celebrity class is shameful. Like Kendrick Lamar can rhyme, bro. He's not a fucking revolutionary. The idea that you would even think so is painful to witness. That's why neoliberalism destroyed the minds of many people in our community. They're meaning these black people who follow celebrity culture. These are the same people who vote for Barack Obama because he saw Jay-Z endorse them. You know what I mean? There's a black celebrity class too. And this goes to my point earlier about people, they say, oh, Candace Owens calls people. No, this is my criticism, my people too. And Candace Owens buy into this. Like this obsession with the celebrity, pretending that the celebrity is doing something revolutionary. And they were like, oh, we're going to seize the flag. We're going to take the U.S. flag back. That's your act of rebellion, taking back some symbols, using symbolism instead of actually engaging in class warfare.
Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, you know what he did whenever he took over the government? Well, actually, no, he was so fucking thorough with his people took over the government for him while he was still in jail. Thomas Sankara was a whole different type of dude. But yeah, he changed the name to Burkina Faso. He completely changed the flag. He didn't want nothing to do with the colonizers at all. I don't want to take that fucking flag back. That flag is covered in blood.
And that flag is
blood
ugly.
My people. Shit.
Like, can we know how the flag is ugly? Like, there's a lot of flags. I have a friend who study flags. Like, I don't know what they call it, but she went.
Really? That's a thing?
And they were like, bro, most people consider the United States flag to be garbage. It is garbage. Like, erase the American exceptionalism from your brain for a second. Look at every other flag in every other country. We have the ugliest fuck flag of all time. All these stupid stars, these unmatching stripes. All the other flags, they study symmetry. Like flag design is actually a big deal. I had a friend, I don't know that much about that. That's why I'm doing the background explaining it. But when they design flag, it's actually a big deal. Their flag symmetry, there's simplicity in the art. Like, it's supposed to be a simple thing that send out a strong message. USA is such a try-hard piece of shit. All these stupid-ass stripes, all these damn stars that don't match the states. It's stupid as hell. I know most people don't not even hearing it, but the United States flag is literally the dumbest flag. Like, pull
bro, I
flag.
never even thought about that shit, but it's so true.
No, bro look at ours is ugly as shit, man.
Our flag ain't got no seasoning. Like, it's like, that's the best way I can think of describe it. Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, we know who made this. It wasn't one of us. That's for goddamn sure. It was not one of us. Bro, it's true. It's like, they got all these lines. Y'all got mixed match patterns. Y'all the flag looked like Cam Newton on a bad day. Like, right? Like, I never even thought about that before, but it's so because I'll be looking at some flag. You ever like see a flag randomly and like, damn, bro, that flag is hard as fuck. Like, I didn't even know that. Whose flag is this? You ever like look up a country because you saw the flag? Because it was so fire. I've done that before. And when you look at it, now I'm like thinking about like, damn, the United States flag is so goddamn ugly. Why is it on so much, like so many, like, because you know it's ugly because if it's on somebody's clothes, right? It stands out and it looks tacky as shit. And it's like, well, it's pride. But like when I look at a Brazilian flag, for example, whenever anything Brazilian is, I'm like, damn, that should go hard as hell. Like that's flag. I gotta look it up. There's a study of flags. I had no idea.
Portugal has a great flag too. Portugal should.
They do. Yeah. South Africa's flag is actually kind of fire too. I think it's South Africa.
Yeah, I gotta talk to my friend about this again because they like a super flag aficionado. She was ranking her face. I'm like, for you know how much it takes to like know flags. She was like naming flags, explaining why she liked the design. Anyway, I'll get a little bit of my personal.
That is so crazy, bro. That's like, bro, this like bro, you can be an expert in literally fucking anything.
Yeah, she said she studied it. I didn't know you can even study flags. It's like a side elective or some shit. Flag design, all this stuff. Because people make flags all the time for like teams, sports teams. You know what I mean? It's like an art form.
So probably she's a fashion designer.
Yeah. You said what?
Oh, so that explains it. Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So among flag designing generally, like just general rules, the U.S. flag breaks a ton of rules. You know what I mean? It's just all these. It's so much. There's too much going on. You know what I mean? You need to send a strong, quick message, and the U.S. flag reeks of like insecurity. And that was. I was just repeating what my friend said. I don't know shit about this.
Bro, it's like it's just so emblematic of everything with the U.S. and it's just like, damn, bro. Even your flag tell the story. Everything about y'all tell the story. Like your presidents, your fucking like your healthcare system, your education system, and even your flag is telling y'all don't even know. Like I didn't even know that, and it's like, damn, I guess it reeks of insecurity. Like, yeah, we're gonna put every single state in a star, right? Okay, and then we're gonna do like these stripes. What are the stripes? And what are the stripes for again? I forgot.
I think they're supposed to represent states. You know,
No, the stars are for the states.
This is let me pull this up because they had to change the shit multiple times. Like this is like the original flag.
I remember that.
Ugly as shit. Look, there's too much going on here, man. What the fuck is this little random goddamn box?
Oh yeah, so that shit's true. But yeah, that's some shit I would do. Like that's some shit I would design. Like, and I suck at designing things, so like I would be like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I see everyone say the 13 colonies. That would it represent. Like the original flag had the 13 colonies, so that made sense. So when they started adding states, it just got uglier and uglier.
So you're telling me the stripes are for the 13 colonies, but the stars are for the states.
Yeah.
Okay, the 13 colonies don't actually exist anymore.
The stripes. Yeah.
But so we got stripes for some shit that don't actually exist anymore. Is basically what you're saying. And we got a bunch of stars, and then it's just a bunch of blue. The blue is just there. And that's basically what.
Our song, like our national anthem, is bad. like I know I'm like a critic of the United, but you guys know like they're singing about bombs. Like it's so fucking American. Other countries have these unique cultural callbacks to their national anthem. We sing about bombs raining down, and people cut off their hand on their chest, tears going down their eyes about a song about bombs going down. Like, God, anyway, so like, once you get caught out of your mind, you start questioning everything.
Like, what the fuck? Y'all celebrating bombs bursting in the air. Like, if that happened right now, would y'all just start like, would you put your hand over your heart and start crying? Like, that's not something, bro. Like Brazil's national anthem, dog. They play at my son's graduation. He just was going to like first grade, but you know how I go. And bro, I'm in that bit like, oh, okay, all right, I'm rocking with this. Damn, I said this is way cooler on national anthem. Why the national anthem so lame, bro? It is so crazy when you kind of like just compare the United States. I don't know how we've been able to convince ourselves that we're the best at everything. And then when you think about it, if we are really good at something, the best aspects of our country actually come from people who are ethnically not from the country, like or national, like their parents are from a different country or their culture is from a different area. Like the best parts about the United States have nothing to do with the United States. We just robbed them. Like we can't even take credit for fucking French fries. Nah. We can't take credit for that. What has the United States done? Like where it's like we perfected something instead of making it worse whenever it came to the United States.
Good question.
I'm genuine. That's a genuine question, guys. I really don't know. According to Italians, we fucked up pizza and pasta. According to Brazilians, we've also somehow fucked up beef. Like, because their beef here is way better. Their cows are better raised, and it's way better. They get stomach aches when they eat our steak. Like, so, like, what comes to the United States, and we're like, yeah, man, good thing the United States is in charge of this now because it's so much better. Not a single goddamn thing. Nothing. Nope. I was gonna say computers, but I can't even say anything about technology because China and Japan just roasting us. This is like a daily fucking achievement for every day they're doing something embarrassing us in technology. So,
yeah, if you want people who are capitalists because of American innovation, and like you see like the difference between Japanese cars, Chinese cars, and our cars, how are you not embarrassed,
bro? Have you ever seen the BYD electric car?
Maybe I have, but
I don't think. I don't think you have because it's basically a Tesla, except for it's not shit, and it looks way better. Like I'm dead ass here. I only saw it for the first time and the only time in Brazil, and when I went back to the States, I didn't see it, and I'm assuming it has something to do with Elon having to fucking deal with the government, basically. So I get in this motherfucking car, and I'm like, "The hell is this?" And he's like, oh, it's BYD. I'm like, okay. This is all electric? Yeah, they have hybrids too. I said, hold up. You telling me this is like a Tesla hybrid? He's like, no, this is electric, but you can buy a hybrid if you want. And the hybrid can take regular gasoline or ethanol or electricity. I'm like, oh, no, this got to be like 200 racks, right? Because a regular Tesla is a lot of money. Nope. Bro, it's like 50, 60,000, like for the nice joint.
Yeah.
for the nice nice one. I said, no, there's no way. I'm looking. That's it. I'm looking. I said, you see this? She's like, yeah, it's a really nice car. I'm like, no. This is basically what a Tesla is, but it's not shit, and it's a fraction of the price. So why is this allowed to be sold here in Brazil? And why? I'm trying to figure out why isn't it being sold in America? I'm like,
as someone who used to sell cars, thank God I didn't have to go against that shit. You know what I mean? Thank God. Bro, I mean, I sold Toyotas. I feel bad for American cars. Car salesman. Like, I feel bad for anyone who worked at Ford, Chevrolet. I used to smoke these motherfuckers. I sold Toyotas and Hondas. Like 90% of my time when I sold cars, I sold Honda sell itself. I smoked these motherfuckers. It was easy. Anyway, I want to pivot just because we're short on time. I don't want to take too much of your time, Niko, but I do 100% want to cover this last story. So I'm going to do a hard pivot just for the sake of your time. And I'm going to read some super chats too. So I'm going to do a quick story. I want to make sure I get this in. You had this a Ukraine false flag, and this is the premise of this story. I saw my hotspot video was just released. I'm going to show you guys that as well. But this is how I'm going to start the story. And Niko, feel free to chime in. I'm going to try to do a quick presentation real quick. Try to make it quick, and I'll pass it to you. So the Trump administration, in a way, is showing why Russia said they preferred Biden. And I'm going to explain what I mean when I say that. You have all these messages that are extremely mixed coming from the Trump administration. You have Mike Waltz, who said earlier that we're going to continue to support NATO and Ukraine, but we're going to have these tough demands, and Russia got to meet our demands. And then on the other end, you have Pete Hegseth that has a way more conciliatory sounding message, essentially telling Ukraine that they won't join NATO, which was the same position of the Biden administration, to be clear. But what essentially happened, I explained this in my hotspot video, Trump 100% caved to Russia because Russia said, yeah, we want peace too, but we're not changing our demands. And Trump was like, all right, bad. We just accept all your demands. I know we said we want EU presence in here. I know we said we want negotiation. No. We're not. Russia, like, we're not doing that. It's all over the highway. So Trump is saying we open to that. Now you have all these peace summits that are forming. And now the Europe left, the NATO left is melting down because of this. You have all these European leaders. You have the NATO left, and this is what they've been attacking him on CNN and MSNBC, attacking them for weakening on national security. Look at this headline. NATO is in disarray after the U.S. announces that its security priorities lies elsewhere. And what happened? This is just a setup of what I want to discuss now, because what's the big story is the attack on Chernobyl nuclear plant in Ukraine. So you have Trump that just recently came out and said that he wants peace, and they were pursuing peace with Ukraine, even if it means giving up territory. And they're serious about it. They have this summit plan here coming up soon. And the second that this summit is about to happen, Vladimir Putin apparently, according to the Ukrainian government, decides to strike the Chernobyl nuclear site, a site they never attacked during the entirety of the Ukraine proxy war.
And Chernobyl is like a historic landmark type of site too. So like it's just they use a name that the world would be familiar with. That's what's interesting about that, and also totally unstrategic. He would never do that. For what? What does he gain from that? I'm what would he gain from attacking that? Like right now?
Literally nothing. So now Zelensky, and I saw DD Geopolitics discuss this. He posts this video, which is extremely shady, and even so shady because if you see this headline here. Like, this is like the best pushback you would get. You see Ukraine says, and you will see other Western headlines that they will say stuff like, Ukraine claims that Russia attacked this nuclear site. Unconfirmed reports that so they are doing their best to say, man, I think Ukraine full of shit here.
Hey, man, hey, look, you got to feel bad for Ukraine, dog. That USAID money came in. They can't even afford HD cameras no more to catch that shit. Like they doing black and white.
So this video,
Oh man,
as other people pointed out, and this is DD Geopolitics, the video posted by Zelensky claiming to show a Russian drone strike on Chernobyl MPP is clearly manipulated, with several cuts visible. Notice about 9 seconds are missing during the explosion. So this is the video she's talking about, I believe. Next time when you cut the video, please also crop it and remove the timestamps.
oh my God, Jesus
This is the
Christ.
video they posted, an obviously manipulated video, and they were using that as an excuse to blame Russia for a strike at a Chernobyl nuclear plant. And let me start finding this article, because now a lot of people was asking, like, oh shit, they struck this nuclear plant? Is there any damage? The people in the plant was like, nah, no damage for real. No damage. So you tell me that Russia decided to strike this nuclear plant, which is upwind to Russia, so it will damage and harm Russia if they did this, but there's no damage. So they decided to strike. Russia decided to strike a nuclear plant and cause no damage for no reason, Niko. Right when they about to discuss peace.
Yeah, you got to give me for me to buy for this is objectively speaking. If I was playing devil's advocate, like my first question, okay, so why would they do that? Like, and the answer cannot be, oh, because it's Russia. Like, what is the strategic advantage to them for them attacking a plant, not doing any damage to the plant right before peace talks when they're about to get everything they want? Like, and more, really, right? They're about to get everything they want and more. Like, you got all of Europe and Trump bent over, and you decide I'm going to attack a nuclear plant that, hell, in a couple of days, that nuclear plant is probably going to belong to Russia. Let's be honest, right? Right. In a few days, that shit might belong to Russia. So and then with the whole Ukraine says shit, bro, I don't really give a fuck what Ukraine got to say, because their entire media apparatus is like, anybody who would be objective is either in jail or like doesn't have a job. Remember they kind of became a dictatorship. So like Ukraine says it's not good enough. And also I cannot believe they forgot to edit out the fucking timestamp. I can't believe it, bro. Like they forgot to edit out the 13 stripes because we don't have any colonies anymore. But that's a different conversation. I'm still tripping off the flag. So forgive me. But yeah, but it's wild.
I want to ask my friend what she think of the Ukraine flag. I would love to hear her opinion. But this is the messaging come from corporate media, because predictably, and I'm gonna let a message play just for a second time uninterrupted, because I'm gonna show you guys how corporate media is reporting this. They're taking this very dubious claim by Ukraine, which what I view as a clear false flag, because it wouldn't be the first time that Ukraine engaged in terrorism in order to justify a war going on, to help the war continue to go on. Because it doesn't make sense for Russia to do this, especially considering they're winning. They're winning the war. You had the United States about to cut funding to this. Pursue peace, there's zero reason for them to do this. But let's just witness how the corporate media reports this completely uncritically. Overnight. And also, I saw this segment, I thought it was funny too, because just the general panic coming from CNN, corporate liberals about the idea of this Ukraine war ending. Which is interesting because
poor arms manufacturers.
Isn't it interesting because Zelensky, they will say Ukraine, they're like, oh, don't you know Ukraine was invaded? They're the victims here. I ain't never seen a victim of war that's upset about a war ending. Like, there was a thought of a weak ceasefire being happen in Gaza, and everyone in Gaza celebrate a ceasefire they know is going to be violated. That's the difference between when you're actually a victim. When people in Gaza, they cheer the idea of a conflict ending. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, they hate the idea of the war. But let's play this.
Well, not everybody. Just Zelensky and all the people giving him money, but the actual Ukrainians are like, they've been over that shit.
Yeah, good correction. That's what I meant. Absolutely. Well said. I'm going to play just a little bit because I do want to wrap up here soon. I'll play a little bit of it, and then I'll get your thoughts, Niko. There's going to be a lot of propaganda to break down in a short amount of time here.
A Russian drone has hit the damaged Chernobyl nuclear power plant, this according to the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky. The video shows the very moment, look at that flash, the drone hit. Radiation background limits have remained normal. The Ukrainian military claims Russia fired 133 drones at Ukraine overnight. This comes as President Trump says
Did they take out the
Russian
part
President Vladimir Putin is ready for peace talks.
You guys hear that? There it is. There, and I'll play it again because you guys see the setup. So this comes as Donald Trump said he wants peace with Putin. Isn't Donald Trump evil? Look, Donald Trump. Look at the transition again. You guys see what they trying to do?
Great overnight. This comes as President Trump says the Russian President Vladimir Putin is ready for peace talks. Zelensky tweeted overnight that these attacks show, quote, Putin is definitely not preparing for negotiations. He's preparing to continue deceiving the world.
So how are you a victim of an invasion? Meanwhile, you don't want the war to end. How does that make sense?
He's preparing to continue deceiving the world. Okay, like, so what do you? What do you mean by that? What the fuck does that even mean? How he literally is like, yeah, man, we've been ready for peace talks. We're still here waiting. We've been here waiting. We've already made our demands clear. So like, wow, he's not trying to deceive the world. He's very clear. Don't get it twisted. We will keep fucking y'all up until we get what we want. It ain't like he hiding the shit. Is he hiding it? Is he? He hasn't hidden that fact. Like you said, Trump was like, well, here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to have to concede some land back to Ukraine. Here's what's actually going to happen. You're going to shut the fuck up and sit down. We're going to take what we feel like it, and you're going to deal with it. And Ukraine's not going to be part of NATO. You know what? We'll take that deal. That sounds like a good deal to me. It's a huge deal. You want to see it?
You want to know the funny thing about this quote is the I know this word is overused, but this is definition of pure projection, because you have Ukraine that is putting out fake videos and accusing Russia of attacking a nuclear plant and a false flag in order to continue a war. So it is Zelensky that is preparing to deceive the world in order to continue the Ukraine war. Once again, why would a leader of a country, after 1 million dead Ukrainians, the entire generation wiped out, your economy in shambles, why would you want this war to continue? Zelensky's goal is World War III. There is no, and he's open about this, there's no victory that doesn't include Article 5. Article 5 means we have a nuclear war, my friends. Zelensky is operating to create a nuclear war. There is not nearly enough anger at this evil psychopath.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I got a question for you, because you've been researching a little bit more lately. Does anybody know what Zelensky's demands are for him to be okay with peace? Outside of the NATO thing, because it's not happening. Because like that wasn't going to happen under Biden, right? NATO keeps rejecting him. So like, so let's just say Putin isn't the one who wants to end the war. So let's just say it's Zelensky who finally wants to. Does anybody know? Does he have any?
Zelensky, to answer your question the best I can, he and this happened under Biden when he created the Ukraine Victory Plan draft proposal. Mm-hmm. And in the Ukraine Victory Plan, step 1 was Ukraine being accepted to NATO. So then the response to that was Anthony Blinken and Lloyd Austin, in a very nice way, telling Zelensky, that's not going to happen, bro. Because Zelensky planned, and he laid out his Ukrainian victory plan, Google it. His plan is to have Ukraine join NATO, then NATO invoke Article 5 to start a global war against Russia to drive Russia out of Ukraine, because he knows there's no other way to stop it other than that.
So he doesn't want to end the war. There is effectively there is no.
Which is weird for a defensive country, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like, so basically there's actually, even though he's pretending like it's Putin who's continuing the war, there's actually nothing that Putin could do or say. Like there's no deal that he could introduce that would end the war effectively. Like there's nothing that Zelensky would accept. So how is Putin, like, I'm just trying, because I'm trying to understand. If he's so concerned about ending the war, he's so worried about Ukrainians, he's so worried about Russia potentially taking, because Russia had no intentions on taking part of Ukraine before all of this started. I don't know where that, like, they're going to take some shit now, which, shit, I mean, to the victors go to spoilers, I guess. You shouldn't have fucked around and found out, because that's what happens. But like, before 2014, before 2022, we didn't get any news from anybody. We're like, man, Russia's making a move to take Ukraine land. No, never, not once. The only time we started hearing that was after Ukraine started pushing and testing and pushing and testing, and this war started in 2022 after Biden took over. Then it was like, well, now we got to get our, we got to take our flesh. We got to take our pound of flesh. Because other than that, y'all would have been straight. If y'all would have just overthrown the government, you might still have your land. If y'all would have just overthrown the government and maybe still funded some neo-Nazis, you might still have your land. But no, y'all had to take it a step further and do the one thing that they're like, don't do it. Don't even fucking ask. Hey man, can we join NATO? Yep, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's it. Now we gotta take our pound of flesh. It's literally all y'all fault. It's all of your fault. And then you're like, hey, NATO, can you start World War III, please, to help us out? No, motherfucker, you crazy. Like, they don't. Weapons manufacturers are even like, hey, so as much money as that would make us, we can't actually make any money if everybody's dead. So that's going to be a no on our behalf. Sorry. Like, if nobody's buying the weapons because, nuclear war kills everybody, we can't really sell any weapons. So yeah, like at the end of the day, we need to one, first of all, if Trump pulls this off, I gotta give him some flowers, I guess, because like shit, that's good. Like no World War III is actually a great thing, and I actually doubted that he would follow through on his plan to rein in Ukraine and rein in Zelensky and pursue these peace talks. I gotta give him credit. Also, once again, I'm still kind of trying to figure out, is this gonna be Rubio's legacy? Constant victories of not going to war? Like, are we actually going to be able to avoid World War III under Rubio, Nick? Is the Republican neocon who overthrew Bolivia going to be the best State Department secretary that we've ever seen? Is that where we're at? Is that how fucking shitty our country has been?
Yeah, that's the point I was going to make, Nico. The Biden regime was so crazy, guys, and the Obama regime as well. They were so crazy that Trump just simply scaling back what they was doing is enough for people saying, "Oh my God, this is the best president I've ever seen." Because it is true. Like I have no love for Trump, but if he was able to end the Ukraine war, that's a giant accomplishment. And there are people. We talked to a lot of Europeans, reporters, because we talk to people all over the world on RBN. We talk to people like Ozzy Krosak and many others who, to the dismay of our audience, said that we like Trump. Yeah, we know Trump is a Zionist, but at least he's going to end the Ukraine war, because everyone in the world was worried about the threat of nuclear war, which is the goal of the Democratic Party and Zelensky, as we just outlined, because there's no other victory other than Article 5. Meanwhile, that's why I had Rokan on my show, and I had him explain, what is your end goal here? Why are you supporting this conflict which will lead to nuclear war? And when he went to stutter mode, you never see Rokan. Anyway, that was a blast, man. I'm so glad I had a chance to do that to Rokan. That never gonna happen again. But you guys see, there's no explanation, and they're done forever. Obviously, they're the gods of genocide, the Democratic Party, but I think they really underestimate how much credibility they lost supporting. Well, I think the combination of both, obviously, like supporting the Ukraine and Gaza. If you had one, that's bad enough. But man, you supported both.
Yep,
you're done. But Nico, I like it out here.
When I was going to say, especially with Rokana, he was the one who was like literally, but put out an open letter and was like, "Yo, man, we can't really be funding neo-Nazis in Ukraine like that. That's not cool." And then you get on RBN and talk to Nick about why it's important that you fund the neo-Nazis that you just got done talking about. Not so under Trump, it was like, "Nah, we can't do that." But then when it's Biden, it's like, "Well, here's why it's okay now." Like those swastikas, them tattoos starting to fade, man. It's like they're not like real neo-Nazis anymore. Like what?
And then I suppose how he wasn't even principled, like just like that, because he supported the Ukraine proxy war because I believe in self-determination, and I believe that invaded people should fight. Okay, what do you think about the Palestinian resistance? I don't support that. So you support only not supporting himself. It was too easy. But anyway, let me read some super chats. Nico, feel free to interrupt me. Anything you want to say? Just for a second time, I gotta get out of here soon.
Go ahead, man.
Zelensky, he quoted Zelensky: "After the end of the war, American business can become a locomotive of global economic growth." Oh yeah, I remember him saying that. Yeah, that was a while ago. I'm actually surprised that Zelensky didn't sign that form, because he was given a form by the Trump administration to sell off all his rare earth minerals. He didn't sign that, which is, I think, another reason why Trump is like, "Fuck you." But I am surprised by that.
Hell, it's right because if you don't, so my thing is if you don't sell them to the U.S., right? you do, or you are aware, right? This deal is getting signed with Russia. So if you don't sell them to the U.S. and make money, Russia gonna take the shit. I don't understand his logic. He's not a good businessman. He is just not a good businessman. That's just crazy, dog.
Yeah,
should have took it.
Let me continue with the super chats here. What about move race from all birth certificates? Thanks for the 199, Wandy. I don't have a thought on that much, but I appreciate the super chat. Thanks for the 499.
That's loaded, bro. That's loaded for 199. I don't know if we got enough time for that.
Yeah, I just never thought about it before. Thanks for 499. Zionist false flag into Palestine. I should not see Nazi exterminate Jews. Jews don't believe Israel should exist. Only God decides. Yeah, that's the Orthodox Judaism position that they shouldn't be pursuing nation states. I'm not a big religious scholar, and I usually don't use those arguments against Zionism. But there is a strong actual religious argument against Zionism, which I don't usually use, but it's actually against Judaism. But that's a side point. I think that's an argument that they can use. They're not really that good at making it.
I mean, there's actually Hasidic Jews who believe that. So, like, they do believe in like a promised land, but they believe because of what Israel is doing, it is actually preventing that prophecy from coming true because they're lying about Israel, the current state of Israel being the promised land. So, there is a religious argument that Jewish people make, which is why you see Hasidic Jews getting beat up by Zionists all the time.
Kwame Ture was amazing at that because Kwame Ture, and I played a little bit of his lecture against Zionism on RBN. Kwame Ture makes the anti-colonial argument, the anti-imperialist, black radical solidarity argument, but then he will also, because he also a religious scholar, he would explain why Zionism is betraying Jewish values and the long-standing solidarity that Jewish people have with Muslims. Like I played the clip on I played like a few minutes on RBN before. It's a great lecture. He like dismantles it and he had some like Zionists come and complain. It was a Q&A. It was like a 90-minute video. It's literally worth watching though. It's called Kwame Ture Debates a Zionist. It's a video on YouTube. You can check it out. He gives this lecture. He destroys Israel intellectually, bro. It's like a great video. He makes the argument why it's a betrayal of religious values as well. I see Super Chat just came in. Niko right about Kendrick, but you low-key hating. You hating on Kendrick, bro? You
hating on hell. Like, look, man, like Drake said, bro, he don't even go back to his hood and plant no money trees. What we talking about? Y'all, they be acting like this man is oh man, who's my man who got shot in his own hood, unfortunately. Nipsey. They be acting like Kendrick is Nipsey. Kendrick ain't Nipsey. Like Kendrick is like Nipsey. It was investing in his community. 21 Savage be investing in his community. Gives financial classes in Atlanta. Like Kendrick left and ran to New York and left his kids and fiance of like 50 years in California. Like what are we talking about? This is the same Kendrick who was upset and was trying to convince people to protest the Grammys. Then the very next, he made To Pimp a Butterfly, which is effectively in response because of how, criticizing not just the Grammys and the racism of the Grammys, but the system in general, and then performs To Pimp a Butterfly at the Grammys the next year after he was complaining about the Grammys. What is we talking about, y'all? What the ain't nothing to hate on. This is just reality.
I need to bring on the Kendrick stand to debate you, bro. Because
please,
that's hilarious. I'm still stuck in the late '90s, man. Early 2000s rap. I don't really do new stuff, but that's interesting. That's definitely
bro. Stuff like that catches my attention because like I was, because of the politics of it, and I'm like I'm aware of the politics of the Grammy. A lot of people are, and it was. Macklemore winning was just like a big ass, like what the fuck? But it was the Kendrick reaction. So I'm like, okay, I can see why he could be upset. I'm not even sure that he would have won, but I can see why he would be upset because Good Kid, Mad City is a great album. Yeah. But it was the radical, he made To Pimp a Butterfly and the cultural impact of that album. it stuck with me because I remember it being a response to him feeling like he got screwed by the Grammys. And because I remember him performing at the Grammys the very next year, and the part of the song where he's supposed to be screaming, fuck the police, he censors that part while performing the song at the Grammys, Nick.
Oh, damn.
You feel me? Do you feel me?
I'm neutral on this, by the way, guys, but that does kind of sound sad. That's why I said I need someone on the other side, because I see some people that like, man, I didn't know that you defending Drake. We need to have like a moderated.
I'm not even defending Drake. I'm because Drake doesn't pretend to be an activist. He don't like when you talk like that's the crazy shit. Drake don't pretend to be an activist, but he still can sign a ceasefire deal letter. Like he can sign a ceasefire letter. Yeah. And he's Jewish.
I'm gonna continue some super chats here, and this was the obvious response to Patrick David, whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
Pat Bet David, yeah.
Pretending that Jews not the victim. They're the ones who calling for the ending of free speech. The same thing they accused us. Yeah. Because we apply social pressure. We just shame people out of being racist. Like if you say the N-word, we will apply social pressure on you. We never put up congressional bills which will lead to people being expelled from college for saying anti-black shit. There are people who build entire media apparatuses on just pure anti-black content.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk had a whole, like, wasn't that his job for a while? Like, going around basically saying black people suck to college camp. He was going around college campuses basically insulting black people.
We apply social pressure. We never fucking try to end the First Amendment like the Zionists have done. This is another funny super chat. Only a few more left and we can wrap up. A little bit longer show today, but it's Friday. I got homie Niko on. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure y'all like and subscribe.
How do you spell her?
Niko channels as well. Niko, we're dual streaming this. Make sure you guys check out Niko House and his channel if you're watching us on RBN. And this is another point as well. I'll bring up Gal Gadot. I need to start bringing on Michael Rappaport because it's literally unbelievable. This motherfucker got jobs. And it's like, I don't want to get too conspiratorial on YouTube. I don't want to get us in trouble. But that fucking Hollywood is owned by the Zionist Jew shit is 100%. I 100% believe that shit, man. I'm sorry. Man,
yeah,
did Michael Rappaport get fucking jobs, bro? Like, I see him, and I had to learn who he was, like, in hindsight. Like, who is this motherfucker? He can't act. Like, he plays one character. He plays the news. He plays who he is in real life. If you got an actor that essentially just plays who he is in real life, that's someone who can't fucking act.
He's like that motherfucker, Hector. Like, you know, the Mexican actor who plays Hector in every single movie like that he's in. He literally, his name is Hector, and he literally plays Hector in every movie that he's in. It's, I guess, like a long running joke. Like, literally, it's the same gangster Mexican Hector. That is literally Michael Rappaport. And what makes it worse is that he's a Zionist culture vulture, which is like, it makes it even worse because black people, he was like, it's almost like he's like was a pariah in his own community to the point where they relegated him. Like, hey man, like we gonna hook you up, right? Because like you one of us, but like we just only gonna put you in black movies though, because like you ain't really one of us, but we gonna hook you up. We gonna take care of you, but you can't really act. You do know that, right? Okay, so we gonna put you in like what's it, White Man Can't Jump and all that shit, and we gonna put you in Dave Chappelle movies and shit like that, but you ain't really gonna be in the real movies. So good luck with that.
Who was actually Hollywood DEI hires? Like, there's no way he was the most talented among the bunch. There's no way. Don't forget that. Yeah, I think I read this one. Don't forget that Zionist terrorist groups fought alongside the Nazis against British and founded the IDF. I think I'm caught up. Bernie was always. Yeah, we're near the beginning. Let me check at the end. Yeah, we are. I think I'm caught up now. Niko, what you got coming up, man? Always fun doing the shows. That would have been a little bit longer than I planned, but hey, man, me and Niko can do this all day.
Man, we just I mean, it's about to be a long 4 years. So I've been streaming more. Hotspot been crazy. You know, trying to do more interviews with international journalists about how the last 4 years has affected various countries. Like I just actually did one with the Brazilian journalist Rafael, because like people basically we were talking about how Brazilian politics is complicated, but two, Brazilians don't even know how much America has affected their top leaders and affects their decision making. So I want to talk about that more because like we just need more people active and like holding U.S. imperialism accountable is like, unfortunately, it's going to take the world to do so because it can't just be us. y'all got to know how it's affecting y'all so that y'all can mobilize like what we see our man David doing in Africa right now, right? He's showing all the ways that the U.S. is affecting Africa, not just the economy, not just like in like stuff in the Congo, but like literally even paying off African journalists to smear other African journalists who are against the empire in bad faith. Like that is the type of shit that we got to start exposing so that people can really see the damage that the empire is doing.
Essentially, everything that we accuse Russia of doing to the United States and Europe, we did to Africa on steroids. And a leader I've been obsessed about reading a lot recently is the president of Kenya, William Ruto. He's an interesting guy. He's a guy who took advantage of the Pan-African movement and ran for president on a pledge that he will end United States influence and he won't be a vassal state. He gave a famous speech, William Ruto, the president of Kenya, where he complained about African leaders being summoned from Africa to Europe. He's like, why are we as African leaders being summoned out of Africa to talk about African issues? And you want to know the first thing he did when he took power? This motherfucker got summoned out of Africa into Europe, and this motherfucker immediately sold his people out. He's the guy who decided to send Kenyan police officers to Haiti on a peacekeeping mission.
That was him?
Yeah, they getting his police officers killed. So William Ruto ran on the exact opposite. Sorry, I need to shut up. But I'm gonna do this.
No, that's interesting information. I didn't know that was him. I didn't even know that.
He ran as a Pan-Africanist, as someone who's gonna be separate from the West. And then the second he got elected, he sold out to the West of the United States. Hey, now he has a record. I'm gonna end it with this.
He saw them. There was a lot of assassinations that happened during that time, if you remember. There were a lot of them, and a lot of them went under. Like a lot of the African leaders got assassinated in the dark. Like and people don't know. So he was like, he probably got a call. So yeah, about that shit, you ain't gonna go where? So I just want to let you know. You look at your chest, yeah, that's a red dot. Bring your ass on over here to Europe. Stop playing. Right? Stop playing. Come on, bro. Like, but now you got your Ibrahims, like the president of Burkina Faso. That man a dog.
Oh yeah, he's I've been reading a lot.
36, bro. He's 36 years old. When he won, he was 34. He is a dog.
Not only is he defending his country's sovereignty, he is putting up amazing economic numbers using rejecting capitalist ideology, embracing populist economics. And that's the exact opposite of what William Ruto is doing, because to wrap up on my last story of the day, the young people in Africa who support him, they're now furious. Now Kenya is like a full-blown neoliberal police state because he had to crack down on his people, because at the new generation, there's like, and it's funny how the same stories repeat itself, because the old head in Kenya are still like, come on, what can we do, man? Then young Kenyans, bro, they're revolutionary. They're reading Marxism. They're learning how to overthrow. Like, bro, we're seeing revolutionary shit coming from the Kenyan people, but a complete opposite situation from the government. So it's gonna be very interesting to watch that. I forgot why I wanted this rant. Oh yeah, because the sellout leaders and William Ruto is a lot about. But anyway, let's wrap up. Niko, thank you for joining us. As always,
somebody asked if a dog is good. Dog, I don't know about everybody else, but in the black community, when somebody's a dog, that's a good thing. Like, you a dog, like that means you stand on business. Like, and this dude he's like, yeah, IMF came in, yeah, man, take some of our money. Yeah, fuck y'all, we don't want your money. World Bank came in, take some money, man, just nope, we don't want it. They try to put terrorists in his country, kicking them. Because they just showed up out of nowhere because when he overthrew the government, kicked them out. And the craziest part about they tried to assassinate him too. Didn't work out. And the wildest part about Ibrahim is that he was born 6 months after the assassination of Thomas Sankara, who was basically the founder of.
That's a reincarnation, man. I'm not spiritual, but that seemed like, bro.
If I didn't believe in reincarnation, I believe in that shit now. Because, bro, you talking about 6 months later, then you get this dude in power, and he's doing the same, bro. He cut back on representatives and increased the salaries for civil servants. The GDP went from 18 billion to 23 or 24 billion in like 2 years. 2 years. He's keeping all the gold in the country. He kicked the French out, and he made the announcement. I don't know if y'all remember, but this was like a big story. He made the announcement that he's going to kick the French out, and then he dared ECOWAS, the United States, and the French to do something about it. He dared them. He's like, yeah, y'all gonna get the fuck out. Oh, we're gonna sanction you. You're gonna send troops. People don't remember. Biden was threatening because he overthrew the government during the Biden administration, and Biden was threatening him. He said, okay, bet. Come on. And they're like, you know what? We're just gonna leave that there. We're just gonna leave that there because he seems like he really about this shit. So we just gonna leave you there. You the president now. Our bad. And France is out. Like that's why you see all these revolutions happening across Africa because there are examples of this happening all over Africa. And like you said, them young folks in Kenya, they not putting up with that shit anymore. What do we always say? Oh, I don't know. We used to say this back in the day. We're like, bro, we ain't our grandparents. We ain't gonna turn the other cheek. I don't know what the fuck you talking about. We don't turn the other cheek no more.
Very interesting to see how it turns out, man, because Kenya has to rely on neoliberal police state authoritarian tendencies because the populace is fed up. Like, I think, and I might be too enthusiastic when I say this, but I think William Ruto was the last time they go through this shit because he ran and he did the exact opposite. Anyway, I'm gonna end with your video because you did a great breakdown of Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso, who was an amazing leader. He was like, bro, I know I'm gonna die, I know I'm gonna get assassinated, but my thing is I'm here to serve the people. I'm not here to get rich. I'm here to serve the people. And I know I'm gonna live a short life because I know the Western dog is gonna kill me. That's like he had a great speech where he's talking about that. Like, man, this motherfucker's a real one,
bro.
Anyway, I see someone said free Rome. Like, imagine if like Rome became a world leader. Like,
yeah, facts. That's basically it. That's a real shit, bro. That's a real shit, dog.
So anyway, I'm gonna end on your video because it's very well done. Thank you for joining us, Niko. This will be our outro video today. I'll be back next week. Have a good rest of your week.
This man, Ibrahim Traore, leader of Burkina Faso, has been given the empire hell since he took over. In 2022, a then 34-year-old Ibrahim helped to take his country back from the French and has been running the show ever since. He then kicks out all French troops, kicks out all French diplomats, and they couldn't do a damn thing about it. So, of course, France sanctions Burkina Faso for trying to maintain autonomy of their own nation. And how does Ibrahim in Burkina Faso respond to sanctions, refusal of IMF loans, and refusal to engage with the World Bank at all? Their GDP grows from 18 billion in 2022 when he took over to roughly 22 billion not even 2 years later, despite the sanctions. He cut the pay of lawmakers and parliamentarians and increased the pay of civil servants. To make Burkina Faso's economy more self-reliant, he started cultivating the industries within the country, like how he created this tomato processing plant. He also stopped sending all the unrefined gold to Europe. So yeah, that's going to stay in the pockets of the people of Burkina Faso. Now, he's been having to do all this while simultaneously fighting off terrorist organizations that are, of course, 100% funded by the West, 100%. Yet, he's remained undeterred. And I'm not going to lie, he's starting to remind me a lot of this guy, Thomas Sankara. Sankara was the OG liberator of Burkina Faso. The French had him assassinated because he did a lot of the same things Ibrahim is doing right now, and because they didn't want other African nations following the example of Burkina Faso and Sankara. But it looks like in a positive way for once, history is repeating itself, which is why we got to protect Ibrahim at all costs and also make sure that we celebrate the triumphs of this man and his government, because we need more of this in Africa. And we have to shine a light on him during his success, or else they will assassinate him in the shadows, because we know the West don't hate anything more than a successful African country running itself autonomously, where the United States or their parent colonial nation can't control all their resources and make that country bend to their will.